The world believes that in the war of Kurukshetra, I was killed by Bhima. But no, those were not my last words. No, my story did not end there. The truth is, my death was decided long before, and my downfall came at the hands of someone else. That someone was none other than Guru Dronacharya's son, Ashwatthama. A name that made even the most sinful warriors of that age tremble. A warrior so fierce that even the proud king Duryodhana shivered in his presence. A warrior whose anger was so terrifying that even Lord Krishna himself could not escape it. But what really happened that turned a great warrior into the most condemned figure of the war? Let us uncover this secret through the untold story of Ashwatthama. Guru Dronacharya and his wife Kripi longed for a child for many years. They wished for a son who would be unmatched in knowledge, righteousness, and strength. Kripi performed intense penance. She went into deep forests and worshipped Lord Shiva with full devotion. Day and night she prayed like a true ascetic. Pleased with her devotion, Lord Shiva himself appeared before her. Shiva said, "Kripi, I am pleased with your penance. I shall bless you with a son, born from my own essence. He will be a great warrior, he will be immortal, and a divine gem on his forehead will protect him from disease, fear, and death." But remember, power is a blessing. Yet if used in unrighteous ways, it becomes a curse. Saying this, Shiva disappeared. Sometime later, Kripi gave birth to an extraordinary son, Ashwatthama. He wasn't born crying, but roaring like thunder. On his forehead was a divine jewel, which protected him from all pain and suffering. His aura was so radiant that even as a child, he looked almost divine. Ashwatthama's birth was not a coincidence. It was the result of divine will. Even his name foretold his destiny. Ashwatthama comes from the word Ashwa, meaning horse, a symbol of power, speed, and endurance. Just like a horse never tires in battle, Ashwatthama's life became a symbol of endless struggle. He was not just the son of Dronacharya, he was born as part of a divine prophecy. Voices from the higher realms had whispered, "A child will be born, unmatched in strength. Fire will shine in his eyes, and his destiny will shake the balance of dharma." In an age that produced warriors like Arjuna, Bhima, and Karna, he was the only one whose name was often taken before theirs. From childhood, Ashwatthama was different. Blessed by Lord Shiva and trained by Guru Dronacharya, he became a warrior whose power could influence not only battles, but also the very line between righteousness and unrighteousness. Dronacharya never showed favoritism. He taught Ashwatthama the same skills he taught Arjuna and the Pandavas. But for his son, his training was even more intense and deeper. Training was not just about bows and swords, it was about shaping the soul with discipline, sacrifice, and spiritual practice. Every morning began with chanting of sacred mantras, and every night ended with meditation on divine weapons. While other princes mastered only physical weapons, Ashwatthama was taught the secrets of celestial weapons. He knew about Brahmastra, Narayanastra, and Pashupatastra, weapons so powerful that they could change the course of war with just one strike. But Dronacharya gave him a strict warning. These weapons should be used only as a last resort, for they do not just destroy the body, they burn the soul. To control such powers, Ashwatthama had to be not only strong, but also disciplined and committed to dharma. Soon, he surpassed all his fellow warriors. Whether it was the Kauravas or the young Pandavas, all were amazed by his abilities. Yet inside, he was also just a son, searching for his father's honor, his family's pride, and his own identity. In the same training grounds where the Pandavas and Kauravas learned, Ashwatthama too practiced meditation, weaponry, and battle skills. Despite his loyalty to the Kauravas, his bond with Arjuna was unique. Whenever practice battles were arranged, Arjuna and Ashwatthama often faced each other. Their duels were more than just training, they reflected an ideal rivalry. There was silent respect between the two great warriors. Ashwatthama recognized Arjuna's brilliance in archery and truly admired it. Arjuna too never underestimated Ashwatthama's power and discipline. Both knew deep within, the time will come when we shall stand on the same battlefield, but not as allies, rather as opponents. Time passed, and the great war of Kurukshetra approached. While Arjuna had the guidance of Lord Krishna, Ashwatthama stood firmly devoted to his father and the Kauravas. The battlefield of Kurukshetra became a vast mound of blood and ashes. Under the red skies, silence like a grave mixed with cries like a storm. And in this battlefield, one warrior moved like a raging storm. His eyes burned with fury, his hands gripped the bow and sword, and his speed was like time itself racing forward. His name was Ashwatthama, a warrior who now fought not only for victory, but consumed by the fire of revenge. Every strike carried the pain of his father's humiliation. Every arrow carried the anger of his friends' deaths. Ashwatthama had now become a warrior who was ready to cross the limits of dharma itself just to fulfill his duty. The same Ashwatthama who once respected Arjuna now stood against him as a deadly force. From the very first day of the war, he stood at the heart of the battlefield, fighting shoulder to shoulder with his dearest friend Duryodhana. Ashwatthama, a warrior whose loyalty was as unshakable as a lion carved in stone.
Every day, Ashwatthama watched the colors of the war change. At times, there was the joy of victory. At other times, the pain of loss. But for Ashwatthama, this war was not just about friendship or politics. It was his personal battle of duty. It was a fight to take revenge for his fallen companions and above all, to restore the honor of his father, Guru Dronacharya. But war shows no mercy, not even to the greatest warriors. On the 15th day, one of the most deceitful chapters of Kurukshetra was written. Guru Dronacharya, counted among the greatest and invincible teachers of war, could not be defeated, neither by strength nor by weapons. So the Pandavas took the path of emotional trickery. They spread a rumor. Ashwatthama has been killed. When this lie reached Dronacharya's ears, he refused to believe it until Yudhishthira himself, known as the man of truth, spoke half the truth aloud. Ashwatthama is dead, while silently adding in his heart, but it was Ashwatthama the elephant. Dronacharya's heart broke. The strength of a father, the faith of a guru, and the will of a warrior all shattered. He put down his weapons, closed his eyes in meditation, and in that very moment, Dhrishtadyumna, son of Drupad and sworn enemy of Drona, attacked him from behind. The invincible teacher of war fell not by strength, but by deception. When the news reached Ashwatthama, the battlefield trembled. His roar was enough to shake the skies. He was no longer just a son. He became a blazing fire, a man whose heart was now filled not with compassion, but with vengeance. No tears came to his eyes, only a burning rage that could set the entire war aflame. He now had only one aim. Those who deceived would not be spared. Those who killed his father would not die peacefully. Even the gods fell silent when Ashwatthama picked up his sword. His hands trembled. His breath grew heavy. This was not just a warrior's pain. It was the breaking world of a son. His father, his teacher, the great Dronacharya, was slain through treachery. His death was not a warrior's end, but the result of betrayal. This was no longer a battle, it was the murder of a sacred bond. Inside Ashwatthama, only hatred remained. He wanted the Pandavas to feel the same pain he had suffered, every ache, every wound that a son feels while remembering his father's fallen body. That night, as he stood beside his friend Duryodhana, he was no longer a warrior, but the living image of revenge itself. He took a vow. I will not let them die peacefully. Those whom I once respected as family will now face my sword. On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, thousands had already fallen. But no grief was deeper than Ashwatthama's, for his loss was personal, spiritual, and beyond compare. Now Duryodhana, the proud prince of the Kauravas, lay weak and broken on the cold ground. His body was drenched in blood, but his inner war was still unfinished. He looked into Ashwatthama's fiery eyes, eyes burning with a flame strong enough to destroy an age. Duryodhana's voice was faint, but his words carried the same royal firmness. Ashwatthama, now this war is yours. Take revenge for us, for me, for your father. That night, the war of Kurukshetra took a new color, the color of vengeance, where the line between righteousness and unrighteousness had blurred completely. Duryodhana's body was broken, his breath fading, yet his eyes still burned with fire. The Pandavas have taken everything from us, our kingdom, our honor, my brothers, and now your father, our teacher, has been mercilessly slain. Ashwatthama, kneeling beside his dying friend, clenched his fists. There were no tears in his eyes, only anger and unbearable grief. I swear by my father's soul, until the Pandavas feel the same pain we have endured, I will not rest. Duryodhana gave a faint smile and with his last strength whispered, Then go, my friend. Punish them in a way no one will ever forget. That night, while the Pandava camp celebrated their victory, Ashwatthama prepared for his darkest decision. He was not alone. Kripacharya and Kritvarma stood beside him. But their enemies were those who had already won the war. Now the battle would not be fought with ordinary weapons, but with spells, deception, and destruction. Ashwatthama closed his eyes, and in the silence of the night, he began chanting powerful mantras. His call reached the feet of Lord Shiva, and the Lord of Destruction appeared before him. In that moment, Ashwatthama was no longer just human. He became the very image of time and death. Ashwatthama stormed into the Pandava camp. His first target, Drishtadhyumna, the one who had slain Dronacharya. He entered his tent. Drishtadhyumna was asleep. Ashwatthama did not grant him a warrior's death. Instead, he killed him mercilessly in his sleep. But the massacre did not stop there. Ashwatthama moved through the camp like a raging storm. The sons of the Pandavas, the children of Abhimanyu, the sons of Draupadi, who had been left behind to rest, fell one by one to his sword. The ground was soaked in blood, the tents filled with broken breaths, and in the center of it all stood one man, a warrior who had now become the face of destruction itself. That night, not only were warriors slain, but the very last breath of honor, righteousness, and valor was extinguished. Morning came, but it brought no light, only the silence of death. Where once the Pandava camp was filled with life and movement, now there was only emptiness, blood, and ashes. The air carried the stench of iron, blood, and burning souls. The fallen warriors lay scattered like broken dolls across the earth.
Ashwatthama stood in the middle of the camp, his breath heavy, his eyes hollow. He had fulfilled the vow he had taken, but he did not find the peace he had imagined. Inside him there was only emptiness, as if he had lost everything. When the Pandavas woke, before them lay the blood-soaked camp, once their proud shelter, now reduced to ruins. Arjuna's anger crossed all limits. He raised the Gandiva bow, his grip so tight that his thumbs turned pale. "You call yourself a warrior, Ashwatthama? Killing sleeping children and unarmed men? This is not war, this is slaughter." But Ashwatthama did not step back. His hollow, burning eyes met Arjuna's. "And what about my father? Did you not break him? Was his spirit not destroyed by deceit? You speak of honor, but you carry no shadow of it." At that moment, Sri Krishna stepped forward. In his eyes was not only calmness, but warning. "You have crushed the rules of battle, Ashwatthama. You have crossed the limits of righteousness. And now, through your actions you have brought upon yourself a curse that even the gods cannot erase." Realizing the weight of his deeds, but drowning in despair, Ashwatthama took his final destructive step. He invoked the Brahmastra, the divine weapon capable of destroying the world. Its target was the complete end of the Pandavas. But Arjuna was not behind. He too called upon his Brahmastra and aimed it directly at Ashwatthama. The sky blazed with light. The earth shook as if the entire universe awaited its final judgment. This was no longer a battle. It was righteousness against vengeance, justice against destruction, and the beginning of an eternal curse. As the two Brahmastras rushed toward each other, the heavens roared, the earth trembled, and for a moment time seemed to stand still. The force of those divine weapons was enough to burn the whole creation. And then, the voice of the great sage Ved Vyasa thundered across the battlefield. "Stop! If these weapons strike, the whole creation will be destroyed. Withdraw them at once or bear the blame of great ruin." Krishna's eyes turned grave. He looked at Arjuna, and Arjuna withdrew his Brahmastra. But Ashwatthama, still blinded by rage, was caught in helplessness. He did not know how to recall the weapon. He had learned only how to release it, but never how to take it back. And then, he did what became one of the darkest deeds of history. Ashwatthama turned the Brahmastra towards Uttara, the pregnant wife of Abhimanyu. His intent was clear: to end the Pandava lineage at its very root, to extinguish the final flame of the family before it could even be born. But the protector of righteousness, Lord Krishna, did not remain silent. With his divine power, he shielded the unborn child inside Uttara. That child was Parikshit, who later carried forward the line of the Pandavas. Yet Krishna knew such an act with the Brahmastra could not go unpunished. He turned to Ashwatthama. Ashwatthama stood silent, filled with endless regret, yet still stubborn in his anger. Krishna stepped closer and from his forehead removed the divine gem, the stone that had granted him strength and divine power. "With this gem you have also lost your honor. Now you shall have neither respect nor peace." Ashwatthama, Krishna declared, "You will live forever, but your immortality will not be a blessing. It will be an endless curse." From that day, Ashwatthama was left with nothing but a body covered in unhealing wounds, a soul burning in repentance, and a life wandering far from mankind through endless ages. He was no longer a warrior, but a shadow of death, a cursed being, a symbol of a man who strayed from the path of dharma. Centuries passed, kingdoms rose and fell, ages changed, time showed countless faces, but one face never disappeared: Ashwatthama. He did not die, Nor did he fully live. He remained, a symbol of eternal suffering. It is said he still wanders through damp forests, deserted ruins, and deep darkness. No longer a warrior, but a cursed traveler, forever searching for release. His body has aged, but will not perish. His soul is trapped within the walls of time, where every breath reminds him of the price of his deeds. The warrior, who crossed the line of righteousness for revenge, was given unending pain. His story became a warning. The greatest warriors do not fall by the sword, but by the weight of their wrong choices. Some say, when the wind whispers, when silence in the night feels unbearable, when a deep breath echoes in the forests, somewhere Ashwatthama is still walking. A lost soul, seeking release in a world that has long forgotten his name. The curse of Krishna still lives with him. His wounds still bleed, not only in his body, but in his spirit. Every day he hears the echoes of his own deeds, every night the cries of those whom he once struck down. The world has moved forward, empires rose and fell, ages changed, but Ashwatthama's time stood still. And even when the world forgot his name, Ashwatthama kept walking. For he is no longer a man, but a waiting itself, a waiting for the day when his fate will change, when perhaps he will find release, when perhaps forgiveness will reach him.
The divine meeting of Ashwatthama and Prithviraj Chauhan. It was the 12th century. On the sacred land of Bharat, the last flame of valor still burned. Prithviraj Chauhan, the Rajput king who fought 100 battles and never bowed till the end. The second battle of Tarain had ended. Prithviraj had been defeated. Muhammad Ghori had taken him captive. His eyes had been blinded, his body bound in chains, yet his spirit still burned with pride. One night, as Prithviraj sat in his dark prison cell, he felt the presence of someone extraordinary. The silence around him was deep, yet in that silence came a powerful, resonant voice. "You are the warrior who accepted defeat with honor." Prithviraj was startled. He could not see with his eyes, but his heart felt the strength of the one standing before him. "Who are you?" he asked. From the shadows, the man stepped forward. His voice was deep, calm, and worn by time. "I am Ashwatthama, son of Guru Dronacharya. After the Great War, I was cursed with eternal life. For ages I have wandered this earth, seeking justice, righteousness, and true valor." A silence fell between them, a silence heavier than words. Ashwatthama looked upon Prithviraj's condition, not defeated by battle, but by injustice. The warrior within him was moved. He then shared a secret, an opportunity for Prithviraj to take his final act of justice. "Within you still burns the fire that can strike its target. I will guide you, and with your arrow you will change history." With Ashwatthama's guidance, Prithviraj gathered all his skill in archery. A stage was prepared, where Ghori, thinking to mock him, called him forth. But he did not know that this very stage would become the cause of his end. By sound alone Prithviraj aimed his arrow. He released it, and Ghori fell lifeless. That arrow was not just a weapon. It was justice, the rise of self-respect, and the answer of Bharat's soil. After this great act, Prithviraj raised his head to give thanks, but Ashwatthama was gone. He had vanished once again into the mist of time, just as quietly as he had come. An immortal warrior wandering through ages to preserve the flame of righteousness and valor. Centuries passed, kingdoms rose and fell, but Ashwatthama's journey did not end. He continued walking, seeking a land where his wounded soul might find peace, comfort,
and perhaps release. The curse of Krishna, which gave him eternal life but endless pain, did not allow him to simply exist. It forced him to seek a higher purpose. In his long wanderings, Ashwatthama often heard a mysterious name, Shambhala, a divine land where only the pure-hearted or the destined could enter. It was not a physical place, but a center of spiritual awakening. With firm resolve, Ashwatthama journeyed into the depths of the Himalayas. Through icy storms, rocky valleys, and mystical forests. At times, sages and travelers spoke to him in riddles about Shambhala. The message was always the same. This journey is not outward, but inward. After centuries of penance and seeking, Ashwatthama reached the radiant gates of Shambhala. Warriors glowing with light stood guard. They did not see him as a cursed wanderer, but recognized him as a future guardian. You have carried your curse for thousands of years, but those who endure blame may also find the path. Ashwatthama bowed his head and stepped forward. For the first time in thousands of years, a ray of peace touched his heart. Shambhala was a land where time did not move as it does here. Its air was filled with divinity. Its ground overflowed with energy, and waves of wisdom resonated through every being. Ashwatthama was no longer just a cursed warrior. He became a guardian, a seeker of knowledge, dedicated to understanding the mysteries of creation. He received wisdom from enlightened masters there, teachings of righteousness, justice, creation, and cosmic cycles. The curse was no longer punishment, but responsibility. Ancient prophecies say, when the age of darkness reaches its peak, when disorder spreads and righteousness fades, a final battle will come. In that moment, Ashwatthama will emerge from Shambhala, standing beside Lord Vishnu's final avatar, Kalki. Once again, he will fight, but this time not as a cursed being, but as a commander of light. For centuries, people have wondered, is Ashwatthama still among us? Some claim to have seen a man with an eternal wound on his forehead and eyes filled with the sorrow of ages. Others say he watches unseen, invisible, yet always present. Ashwatthama's journey is not yet over. He waits for the time when he must walk the earth again. Perhaps he now meditates in the mountains, or lingers in the shadows of forgotten temples, or sharpens his weapons in the divine land of Shambhala. And when the time arrives, he will return once more to protect dharma. If this story has inspired you, touched your heart with mystery and courage, then do like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more timeless stories of Sanatan history and eternal wisdom.